Will one of you finally give me what I desire? Yes, we will.
What's going on, guys? RBG here, bringing you another video on Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Although we've only had one trailer with a few details from various articles, we're gonna keep it pushing. I'm gonna do my best to come up with theories on things that may have unfolded since Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales, as well as speculations on what might unfold in Spider-Man 2. But before we dive into the video, I ask that you give this video a thumbs up. Yeah, I know it's a little out of the norm for me to ask you guys to do this, but YouTube's algorithm sort of encourages it. So if you rock with your boy and you know I'm gonna come with that awesome content, then smash that like button. And if by any chance you find yourself making it to the end of this video and it wasn't satisfactory, you're more than welcome to dislike it. But yeah, guys, the hype train is in full effect because not only do we have a new Spidey game coming out, we also have a new Wolverine game that'll exist in the same universe with this version of Spider-Man, which can lead to endless possibilities. We still have that unknown multiplayer game Insomniac is working on. And if the working relationship between Sony and Marvel continues, we could be looking at another AAA superhero game that just so happens to feature co-op this time around. Let's not forget that the Avengers exist in this newly established Earth 1048 universe that Sony Playstation is expanding. I know a lot of you are probably still thinking that Square Enix's version of the team exists in the same continuity as Insomniac Spider-Man, but they're two different universes, so technically we still haven't seen them in this universe. All we've seen is the Avengers Tower, and Peter mentioned that they were off expanding their team in the West. There's a lot of other Easter eggs within Marvel Spider-Man that suggest that other well-known heroes exist in this continuity and have most likely been active as well, such as the Daredevil, whose secret identity is Matt Murdock. If you look hard enough, you can find him in Foggy Nelson's old office in Hell's Kitchen. And Peter even has one of their business cards saved back from when Matt offered it to him just in case Spider-Man needs legal help. It even features their names in Braille. So I wouldn't be surprised if Insomniac features the blind lawyer in or out of his Daredevil suit in the near future. Given how successful the Spidey games have been for Sony, they might start hiring more of their studios to work on Marvel related games. Like, how cool would it be if they had a AAA team like Sucker Punch work on something like Daredevil? I mean, it was rumored that they would be working on Marvel Spider-Man years before it was officially revealed to be Insomniac. What's not to say we can get Santa Monica Studios to work on an Iron Man game? The possibilities are endless. Speaking of Iron Man, I know a lot of you are probably wondering if he'll play a role in this game since we see Peter using the Waldo arms from the Iron Spider suit. If you remember in the last game, you could use them during gameplay sections, but they weren't necessarily canonical in the story. They were simply a mod that came with the Iron Spider suit from Avengers Infinity War. If you're familiar with the suit's origin, then you know that it was created by Tony Stark in Amazing Spider-Man issue 529. But instead of having 4 mechanical arms like we see in most modern iterations, it originally had 3. Fast forward almost a decade later and we see Dr. Otto Octavius make his own Spider-Man suit, which now features 4 mechanical arms in the Superior Spider-Man comics. That particular run of the comics will become one of the key influences for Marvel Spider-Man with some of the gear like the Spider Drones, and it would even have an achievement named after it once you unlock all the skills in the game. It seems like the mechanical arms featured in Marvel Spider-Man 2 may also harken back to the Superior Spider-Man comics, not only in terms of aesthetic, but also the way they came about. Something that I noticed is that the tips of the arms look fairly similar to the tips of the claws on Dr. Octopus's mechanical tentacles. Like they have the same shape and that glowy effect, except they just are a different color. Funny enough, Peter was actually responsible for creating Dr. Octopus, or at least his tentacles. If you remember, this version of Dr. Otto Octavius is suffering from a degenerative neurological disorder which over time causes him to lose his motor functions. But after teaming up with Peter, they began working on advanced prosthetics that could help people who suffer from the same disorder. Peter actually creates the neural interface used to control the prosthetics, except it wasn't completely optimized or properly tested, which he advised against Otto using so early. So when Otto finally goes against his wishes and utilizes it to control all 4 of his mechanical tentacles, it becomes a little overwhelming and causes him to become mentally unstable. It basically fuels his revenge against Norman Osborn, who he had already harbored a major grudge for at the beginning of the game's story. During their epic showdown, Peter manages to deactivate the neural interface on Dr. Octopus's back. Something tells me that he later revised the neurological interface and perfected it to create the spider arms that you see in this trailer. Since they're smaller than Dr. Octopus's tentacles, they're a lot easier to control. Not to mention that they probably just work well with all the other gadgets he's created since the last game. So yeah, for those of you who aren't too high on Spidey being quote-unquote Iron Man Jr., you don't have to worry about that since Peter will play a part in creating his own spider arms. You're essentially going to get to play with the superior Spider-Man. But anyways, I know you guys are wondering about what other villains we're gonna see in this next installment. Obviously we have Kraven the Hunter and Venom, but there have to be more baddies on the roster to top the first game, because we had to fight the Sinister Six and a bunch of other villains from Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. And so far, one of those members has appeared in 2 games back to back. So this game really needs to come with some new faces that haven't been utilized within this particular universe. One of the villains I think we'll more than likely see in Marvel Spider-Man 2 is the Lizard. It's been rumored through supposed leaks that he'll make an appearance, and if you've been following all the Easter eggs in the games, he very much exists in this continuity. In the first game, you get a vial of Dr. Kurt Connor's blood after you find one of Peter's old backpacks, and it's revealed that he fought the Lizard during his early days as Spider-Man, but Peter was able to cure Kurt temporarily before he ultimately reverted back to the Lizard and went missing for a while. Fast forward a little while later in Spider-Man Miles Morales, and we see him back to his human form working alongside Norman Osborn to create a cure for Harry. That's officially his first on-screen appearance, and I expect that we'll see him in the next game, because Venom is going to be in it and Kurt was tasked with overseeing the experiment, or the symbiote, before Norman ordered him to let Harry out of the tank. And I have a nagging suspicion that things went left after he did it, since he warned Norman that it wouldn't be the best idea to release Harry so soon. So yeah, definitely be on the lookout for the Lizard. Since we're mentioning Norman Osborn, I know a lot of you are wondering if he'll become the Green Goblin in this next chapter, and I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't think they'll pull the trigger just yet. Although there have been mounting clues such as his signature pumpkin bombs, it doesn't seem likely that he'll appear in this game. We haven't really seen Norman get motivated to become the villain as of yet, and the only thing I believe will push him to do so is if something tragic happens to his son Harry. As mentioned earlier, he was in the same containment unit with the symbiote, and chances are he'll serve as the host, or at least the first host, before it goes on to someone else. Whoever that someone else is, they'll most likely form a bond with the symbiote and could possibly kill Harry. And I can see Norman Osborn confusing that person or Venom with Spider-Man, which will drive him to seek revenge and ultimately become the Green Goblin. It'll be interesting seeing what version of the Goblin they go for. Like, this game borrows a lot of elements from the original 616 canon and 1610 canon, so we could potentially be looking at the classic Goblin mixed with a little bit of the Ultimate Goblin to spice things up. But moving on to the next villain, we'll most likely get Wraith, which is a character that's been built up since the City That Never Sleeps DLC. During this particular story, Yuri Watanabe's team of police officers is slaughtered by Hammerhead, leaving her deeply traumatized and vengeful, and she later pays him back by shooting him dead, which causes her to go off the deep end and become a murderous vigilante. In the comics, she becomes the Wraith, so she'll most likely become this game's version of the character, because at the very end of the game, you get an audio recording from her explaining how she hates the criminal justice system and she'll be taking matters into her own hands moving forward. But moving on, the last villain that I have on my list is Mysterio. I've chosen to put him on because Quentin Beck has already been Mysterio in the Earth 1048 universe, not to mention that there have been little clues that reference him, such as this shard from his helmet, which Peter mentions was the inspiration for the lenses in his Spider-Man mask, and you see someone dressed up as him at a Halloween party. I feel like he could be a major component in this game since Kraven is looking for villains who could successfully hunt down Spider-Man for him. I can also see his gameplay being very similar to that of Scarecrow from Batman Arkham. But with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you guys. What do you think about these details and theories? Do you think we could see the likes of the Lizard and Wraith appear? Let me know down in the comments below. As always, I ask you to like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. Any feedback is good feedback and will only help me improve on my channel. But if you just so happen to have enjoyed the video, I really appreciate it if you shared it with all your friends and followers on different social media outlets. Sharing really makes a difference. But once again, this is your boy RBG signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out. As a successful YouTube user, I often get questions asking what I use to get my videos tons of views. And the answer to that is TubeBuddy. This thing has helped me take my channel to the next level in ways I never imagined. It's a browser extension that helps new and experienced YouTubers grow fast and optimize their channels. I've been using this extension for years and it's constantly getting updated with new features, like the SEO tool that helps me come up with the perfect title, description, and tags to get more people to click on my videos. It even provides you with analytics besides your videos to see how much traffic your video is generating from various social media sites. The extension is absolutely free, but as a special offer, we're giving a 50% discount for channels that have less than 1,000 subscribers that purchase the Pro upgrade. All you have to do is enter in the code RisingStarBuddy. So if you're interested in starting a YouTube channel or taking your content to the next level, download the extension now. You can do so by clicking on this link that'll be provided in the description of this video.